Margaret Kuhlman of Soul Astrology. This new moon in Leo has got Mercury right beside it. Mercury is still retrograde, which suggests that our thinking is more internal rather than focused on the outside world, that we're noticing our reactions and so on. And with the new moon right beside it, it's drawing attention to that facility. It can also show up, if we're not conscious of what we're thinking, as reacting out of past events which are no longer relevant. So we do need to be aware of what we're doing, what we're saying, what we're thinking about when we meet people, when we revisit situations, that we're actually looking at how they are now. The major thing, though, about this new moon is the Leo quality. The sun rules Leo. It's the heart of the situation, the heart of the solar system. So the heart of us, each one their own personal truth at the heart of who we are. And again, we need to be careful, because at the true heart of who we are is our spirit, choosing to be here. And all our experience and everything brings about this sense of ourselves which we feel needs protecting, in not believing that the spirit takes care of everything. And here we have created this great ego thing which we think protects us from not being able to survive. It's quite possible for the energy of ourselves for us to think that we are that. So the new moon in Leo could be emphasizing our egoic selves. Again, we need to look beneath our immediate reaction patterns and see where it is that we really come from, removing gently all these past associations, which is really what the ego is created from, until we find at the true heart of ourselves an expansion, the shoulders sliding back and away, dropping down, because the spirit carries everything, including us. Whichever way we choose to go is so important because of these squares you will see, these red lines going up to Jupiter. When we get a square to Jupiter, we tend to get an emphasis on this expansive side. So whichever we choose to express is likely to be bigger than usual. Let it be the heart. Let it be the spirit that's coming through. You can tell the difference in yourself very easily. There is an engagement with life at the true heart. There is a desire, deep desire, to know the truth of a situation, the truth of a person, rather than resting on what we already know. And Jupiter, if we will go for that depth of perception that Scorpio has, where Jupiter is, we immediately use the trine to Neptune, the spiritual understanding, the intuition. So removing our own old stuff from any situation, we'll be able to see what's true, which is an exciting thought. Because Jupiter and Neptune are both in water signs, all of this expansiveness could be very emotional. So we may find ourselves dealing with what's been left over in our relationships, what we have caused, what we have left unlooked at in ourselves and our own reactions. As long as we continually look for the truth of it, rather than trying to be right in accordance with how we used to be, we will be blessed. The angels are with us. There is also another major connection in this chart, and that is the trine between Saturn and Uranus. They're both in earth signs, so it is to do with the practical side of life, the actual facts of it, the way it really works on a material level. And if we use it well, we have the slight distancing, that detachment from the emotional stuff and from avarice, wanting more. If we can detach from that, again, and look at the world dispassionately, it doesn't mean not caring, it just means no vested interest. Then we can access the wisdom of Saturn. He's in his own sign of Capricorn. He's retrograde, which tends to be an understanding of how things have developed. And so the wisdom could be the most practical solutions in any difficult situation. Now, just as with the other trine from Jupiter to Neptune can be misunderstood in its immense emotionalness or fine and high spirituality, it can go a bit too far. So with the Saturn-Uranus trine, we could get too detached and appear cold and unconcerned. We could become cold and unconcerned and just point out what ought to be able to happen without any understanding of what the feelings are of those involved. So we clearly need to use both of these. It's like trying to walk along two high wires at the same time with a foot on each. The beauty of this whole situation, well, one of the beauties, I always find it beautiful, is that the sun and moon, the new moon itself, has a quincunx to Pluto. Whenever I see a quincunx, I feel somewhat relieved, because I know that the situation is meant to be healing. It's a situation where if we have a problem, if we look for what would serve everyone in the situation, the solution rises naturally. So quincunxes are beautiful, but we do have to have that care in our hearts for how it is for other people as well as ourselves. There's another quincunx between Mercury and Neptune, and this connects with our understanding of what's required and the way that we speak. So if you're faced with a difficult situation, it's a clear indication that all you need to do is ask for assistance from the other side. Just ask for the words. What tends to happen if you do that is that you find yourself saying things and they seem to work. And you don't necessarily have to hear them in your head. They just arise, they come to you. If you have asked previously for assistance, those words will be good. They'll be intuitively accurate. But it only works, as these are quincunxes, if you have everyone's welfare at heart. With Mars still hovering around the South Node in Aquarius, the energy of this new moon contains a drive for humanity as a whole, for the benefits of all. Mars is being trined by Venus. It's a trine that's already happened in the last week, but it still adds its flavour to this next lunar month. With Venus going through Libra, there is such a desire for peace and harmony, and with the humanitarian approach, it's possible. However, because Venus is part of this T-square, with Saturn at the top in his own sign, and Chiron opposite, also squaring Saturn, it's not necessarily going to be easy to see where the peace lies. We won't spot it. We're liable only to spot the problems, the traps, the hardships. And we could get into bemoaning how it all is and fearing the worst. It's Venus. We feel like that where Venus is. We feel the weakness of that position, of trying to be a peacemaker in the middle of a noisy war. So it's so important to understand and remember, we need to remember how what we put forward in our thinking and our desires and our trust, if we can put forward a positive realization that the light dispels darkness on every level, then we can add something valuable to the whole mess of energy that always humanity is swimming in, rather than adding to the darkness with our fears and our negative projections. The full moon chart shows a resolved picture. The sun and moon have moved into a harmony with Saturn and Uranus, as though we have been able to stand back, and the second 2 weeks of this month look as though the solutions will be found. Things settle to a degree. They calm down. It's a smoother pattern. Jupiter still trining Neptune, although the trine itself is just past, and Mars has moved back into Capricorn, where he remains retrograde for the rest of this lunar month and comes forward again into Aquarius at the next new moon. So we have him there in Capricorn, our energy, our drive, our motives settling on the material level, sorting things out. So it's still dealing on that level, before at the next new moon he moves properly into Aquarius and continues forward for the next 2 years. Mercury is no longer retrograde at the full moon, and so the connection to Neptune becomes much stronger, the quincunx. The squares to Jupiter still, so we need to watch out for overdoing our reactions. But we may find that situations are sorting themselves out. So for this whole month, I would say the most important thing is to maintain a positive attitude to life, to really work on trusting the spirit, and trusting that it is spirit that has power in every corner of life, and to enjoy being who you really are, the central aspect of yourself, and radiating that out, never minding how other people choose to react. Go well, have fun. Oh, and don't forget to love yourself and everybody else and everything else, and just allow yourself to love without being specific. Let the world of your everyday fade in your mind, so that you rest deeply within your being. Allow yourself to breathe the love we have for you deeply into the core of your heart, opening the lily to the sunlight. Let your reactive thoughts sink into oblivion as you bask in this warmth, so the garden of your soul can receive life's rain without fear of loss. Your boundaries expand as love's grace pours in and dissolve into joy and compassion. It's never too late to repair the past. Open and enter and rest.